All glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. This is Chinmay Vrajapriya Devi Dasi welcoming each one of you to our Bhakti Sangha mid-morning session. So may we know who have joined today's call so that we can welcome you.
Hare Krishna Chinmay Vrajapriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. Thank you Mataji, thank you for all your services and welcome to today's call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Chinmay Vrajpriya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Brinda from Atlanta, Panihati.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. Thank you Mataji, thank you for joining each day. Thank you for all your services. Thank you for encouraging each one of us here. And welcome Mataji to today's call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Devi Dasi from Cincinnati.
Hare Krishna Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. Thank you Mataji, thank you for your beautiful recitation of Bhagavad Gita once again. And thank you for all your services you do. Thank you for being here every day for us. And welcome Mataji to today's call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Chinmay Vrajapriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada, this is Preethi Vilasini Devi Dasi from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much Mataji for your warm welcoming, and thank you Yashamati Priya Mataji for that very beautiful recitation of the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. Thank you Mataji, thank you for your glorious services. Thank you for encouraging each one of us on this beautiful platform. And we are eagerly waiting to hear from you. I will hand over the call to you very shortly, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome once again to our Bhakti Sangha mid-morning session. We're continuing our Chaitanya Bhagavat series, and today we have our very own dear Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji giving us the class. Let me read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today, and then I'll hand over the call to Mataji. So the quote is, "Just work in such a way that God may see you. This is the Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone is busy to see God. Of course, it is not so easy to see God, but a devotee is not busy to see God, but he wants God to see him. This was instructed by His Divine Grace at Bombay on May 12th, 1974. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your time and coming here to talk on our most beautiful, glorious, Supreme Lord. And Mataji will be talking on Chaitanya Bhagavat-Madhya Khanda 24th chapter from texts 76 to 102. Please take over, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much Chinmay Vrajapriya Mataji. We'll get started with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kapatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Mishwaram Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and this is Madhya Kanda, chapter 24. We'll be ending chapter 24 today. Ajanulambita-bhujau kanakavadato sankirtanaicapitarau kamalayadakshau vishwambharau dvijavarau yugadharmapalau vande jagatpriyakarau karunaavatarau Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtistasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityastasya Vishveshvamurter Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam. Okay, so before we get started, quick brainstormer for everybody. In this chapter that we are discussing, there is a very important form of the Lord Gaura Chandra exhibited. So what was the form of the Lord he showed to his associates?
Virat Rup to Advaita Acharya.
Very nice. Yes, Virat Rupa has universal form.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So who are the two devotees who saw this?
Acharya and
Is it
Advaita
Advaita Acharya and
Hare
Vilasini?
Yes, correct. First Advaita Acharya saw, then Nityananda Prabhu, he came and knocked the door and he also saw. So the two devotees who saw are Advaita and Nityananda. So in today's class, we will see the chemistry between Advaita and Nityananda. So they are very well known for sharing a very interesting chemistry. We have already seen this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when we were all doing Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have seen the mock fights between Advaita and Nityananda. So here also in Chaitanya Bhagavat as well, these mock fights are given great descriptions, the fights between Nityananda and Advaita. So we'll read from verse number 76. Vishwarupadhikiya Advaita Nityananda Kaharo nahi kabhai Paramananda. After seeing the Lord's universal form that was shown to Arjuna, the similar universal form, Advaita and Nityananda, both of them lost their external consciousness in great ecstasy. Obviously, seeing the Lord face to face is not ordinary, right? So they just lost their external consciousness. And Vaibhava Darshana Sukhe Matadui Jana Dhulaya Yayena Gadi Sakalangana. In the happiness of seeing the Lord's opulence, the true Prabhus, the great friends, they rolled on the ground throughout the courtyard. They were in extreme ecstasy. Keha nache, keha gaya diya karatali, dhuliya, dhuliya, bole dui mahabali. So the two powerful lords, Nityananda and Advaita, they clapped their they clapped. Did they clap their hands? Yeah. Okay. The two powerful lords swayed to and fro as one danced and the other sang and clapped the hands. So they were in a very, very happy ecstasy. One was singing and clapping the hands, and the other one was dancing. Ye mate dui jane mahakutuha rishe dui jane bajiya galagali. In this way, the two lords enjoyed great happiness. Eventually, however, they began to abuse each other. So this is what happened every time. you would see them very, very happy, enjoying together. And then within 2 minutes, they are shouting and they are fighting with each other. And these fights are also symptoms of their ecstasy. And they love doing it. It's not that they just did it this time, they would always engage in such fights. Sometimes when we love someone very much, it happens. We like to pick on them and then we like to fight with them. And there is some sort of happiness that is attained when you fight with a loved one. And these are not serious fights where you're upset with each other for many days or something. These are only mock fights and they give extreme happiness. So even in this world, we see such relationships. Like one person likes to constantly nag the other one and the other one enjoys it. And then the other one is again trying to have fun saying things about the other person. So this happens very frequently in this material world as well. So even here, Nityananda and Advaita Chandra, they had this kind of chemistry. Advaita balaya avaduta mataliya ita konjana kote toke anila dakiya. So Advaita Acharya said, you are an intoxicated avaduta. You are an avadut and you're totally intoxicated. Who even invited you to come here? So this is what Advaita was telling Nityananda, because in the previous class how Nityananda, suddenly he was wandering and then he came and he knocked the door and he came inside Srivas Thakur's house. So Advaita was like, it was for me. Who asked you to come here? Who asked you to come and see the Lord? Then Duyara Bhangiya Asi Sambhali Kene Sanyasi Koriya Tore Bale Konjane. Why did you break the door and come in? Who says that you are a sannyasi? You don't behave like a sannyasi at all. So this is what Advaita Acharya is telling Nityananda Prabhu. He na jati nahi na khaila yara ghare jati ache he na konjane bale tore. You eat in anyone's house without considering their caste. Who can say you have maintained your caste? So we have seen in multiple incidents, again in Chaitanya Bhagavat itself, that when you accept prasadam or when you eat in someone else's place, which is not a person who doesn't have a pure consciousness, then one loses one's caste. So this was a tradition some 100 years ago. Also, it was very strictly followed. And a person wouldn't eat food that is not prepared by a devotee. So now Advaita Acharya is telling, you eat in anyone's house without considering what their caste is. So who can say you're still maintaining your caste? Who calls you a sannyasi? Who calls you a brahmana? You're not, you don't have any of these qualities. Vaishnavas abhaya kene mahamato yala jata nahi paliyale nahi ke bekad bhala. What is such a great drunkard as you doing in the assembly of Vaishnavas? Get out of here right now. You will be in trouble. So he calls Advaita Acharya calls Nityananda Prabhu a drunkard. He calls him a person who has lost his caste, who's a fake sannyasi, and he's a drunkard who's unnecessarily coming and disturbing the assembly of Vaishnavas. So these are the accusations that is made by Advaita Acharya on Nityananda Prabhu, again very jokingly, very lovingly. Nityananda bale are nadavasi thaka kaila padonga nage dekai pratapa. Nityananda Prabhu replied, oh Nada, you just sit down or I will show my prowess by punching you. So now, initially it was only words, but then Nityananda Prabhu, he gets into the spirit of taking revenge physically. Okay, so he wants to punch down Nada. Are Buddha Vamana Tomara Bhayanai Ami Avadhuta Mata Thakurera Bhai Striye Putre Grihe Tumi Parama Samsari Paramahamsera Pate Ami Adhikari. So he says, you are a samsari, stri, putra, grihe, tumi parama samsari. This is all important for you. A woman, children, home. This is your focus. You're after all a samsari. And who am I? I'm a paramahamsa. Paramahamsere Pate, Ami Adhikari, and I have all the Adhikar. But what Adhikar do you have? You are an old Brahmana. Are Bhuda, you are an old Brahman. Vamana tomar bhaya nahi. Are you not afraid of me? Ami avadutha mattha thakurera bhai. I am intoxicated. Yes, I'm an avadut and I'm intoxicated. And what's my identity? Thakurera bhai. I am the Lord's brother. But who are you? You are, after all, a gross materialist living at home with your wife and children, while I have accepted the path of the Paramahamsas. So this is what Nityananda Prabhu says for all the accusations that Advaita Acharya posed. So Nityananda Prabhu, he describes himself as a traveler on the path of the Paramahamsas. So Paramahamsas are like the great swans. They know to separate milk from water. Also, Paramahamsa is the topmost position of sannyasis. So sannyasis are also of different kinds. Some sannyasis, they go door to door and they beg some madhukari. There are other sannyasis who construct a little hut in the corner of a village and they sustain by whatever is given to them. But then Nityananda Prabhu is calling himself as the greatest of all sannyasis, who's a Paramahamsa, who's a swan. So he says, then I'm a swan, then to reveal the vision of materialists is useless. So he calls Advaita Prabhu as an intoxicated householder. Look at the comparison. He says, I'm a Paramahamsa, I'm the topmost of all sannyasis, while you are a useless householder just maintaining wife and children. So like this. And not only that, Nityananda Prabhu also not only considers himself to be a Paramahamsa Avaduta, he also says, my identity doesn't stop there. I am so special. I am the elder brother of Sri Gaura Sundar. So what adhikar do you have? And he calls Advaita Prabhu an old man. You're an old man. You don't have any power. I can punch you down right now. You're posing to be overly courageous and you're making an artificial show of power. I can forcibly subjugate you. So like this, as an outcome of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, as an outcome of Sri Advaita Prabhu's angry statements that indicated love for Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita referred to Nityananda Prabhu as a drunkard, trespasser, a condemned sannyasi, a social misfit, an indiscriminate eater of everyone's remnants, and a violator of Vedic instructions, and then said that he did not leave Advaita's house, he would receive severe punishment. In protest to these statements from Advaita, Sri Nityananda made this arrogant reply. So one calls the other a drunkard, a fallen sannyasi, and a person who's eating everywhere. But Nityananda Prabhu says, no, I'm a Paramahamsa, I'm an Avaduta. Not only that, I'm the Lord's brother. Who are you after all, Buddha? You're an old man. I will punch you down and see what I can do to you. Okay, 87. Ami marileo kichu bali tena para amasane tumi akarane garvakara. Even if I beat you, Nityananda Prabhu is telling Advaita, even if I beat you, you cannot say anything. Yet, you display your pride before me without any reason. You're after all an old man. You can't even shout if I beat you. And you're trying to be too proud by accusing me? That's what Nityananda is asking. Shuniya Advaite Krode Agnihena Jwale Digambara Haya Asesha Mandabale. Then Advaita heard these words. He burned in anger. He was so angry. And he got up and his cloth also fell off in anger. And then he began to speak very rude words. So his anger was truly triggered. He said, Matsyakaho mamsakao ke mata sannyasi vastra edi lama ami edikvasi. Said, you're calling yourself Paramahamsa? You're calling yourself as the brother of the Lord? But who are you? You're after all a fallen sannyasi. You eat fish? You eat meat? What kind of sannyasi are you? I've also given up my cloth and become naked. So I'll also become a sannyasi? Like that, Advaita Acharya is asking. So, but there are some very important insights that is presented by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that these words should be taken in the right spirit. When Advaita Acharya is telling that you eat matsya cow, mamsa cow, hey, mata sannyasi, that is, you are eating cow. Cow, what are you eating? You're eating matsya. Matsya means fish. Mamsa cow, you're eating meat. Vatsra edi lama ami edi kvasi. You're behaving like a fallen sannyasi. So even I give up my cloth and I also behave like a fallen sannyasi. Is that okay? So like that, and Advaita Acharya is speaking, but then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells us that it should not be taken as a blanket statement. We should look into it and understand the spirit in which Advaita Acharya is speaking these words. So let's analyze Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's very elaborate commentary on this. In the course of the argument and counter-argument, what happened? Sri Advaita Prabhu became very angry. And out of angry, he said, you are like a dhari sannyasi who eats fish and meat and who brags that he has given up the dress of a householder and become naked. So what happens is that even now also they are very prevalent in Bengal and in many other parts of the world in India. But at that time, it was extremely prevalent. Who are these? Who are these who are prevalent? They were the tantric sannyasis. So these tantric sannyasis, they're generally envious of the Vaishnavas. So the Vaishnavas and the tantric people, they live together in the same place in many parts of the world, like especially Bengal is a place where the Shakta philosophy is very prominent. Okay, even to this day, you will see a lot of Shakta followers. And according to their philosophy, what they do is in their method of worship, what they do is they follow the process of panchamakar, which means it includes eating fish, eating flesh, being with a woman and having sex. Okay, so these processes are followed in a structured manner to attain what they call as the ultimate bliss. And they are able to find oneness with Lord Shiva. Okay, that is their process. You will even find them in graveyards and places like that. And that is a place that is suitable to carry out these tantric activities. Usually a man is with his chosen woman and they have all these articles like fish, flesh, and all sorts of things. And then they go one by one in circle. They finish each of these partaking processes. And then finally they have union with the female counterpart. And then they attain what is called as oneness with Shiva. That's what their scope of practice is. So this Shakta Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling to Nityananda Prabhu, you're just like that tantric sannyasi who's very envious of the Vaishnavas. They are very attached to sense gratification and they are followers of the Shakta philosophy. They try to protect their reputation as sannyasis by indulging in panchamakara, which is Mamsa, Madhya, Matsya, Mahila, and Maituna. So they eat meat, wine, fish, be with women, and have sex. So whimsical behavior can never be a characteristics of a sannyasi under the shelter of the Vedas. So this is a very important statement. This Pancha Makara process is not strictly under the Vedic injunctions. It is a process that is followed by the Shaktas according to the Agamas. Okay, it is not strictly under the shelter of the Vedas, but a sannyasi should take full shelter under the Vedas. So after reading these statements, when you hear all this, okay, Advaita Acharya is accusing Nityananda Prabhu that Nityananda Prabhu is also doing Matsya Kao, Mamsa Kao, and you're giving up your dress like a fake sannyasi. Once a person reads such statements, they think foolish people can come to a conclusion that Sri Baladev, who Sri Nityananda Prabhu has fallen from the sannyasi etiquette and has taken to improper behavior. But one should know that one who exposes his natural foolishness by failing to understand the actual purport of Advaita statements is unqualified to understand the characteristics of Nityananda Prabhu. So we should understand what Advaita Acharya is actually meaning. Advaita Acharya is simply out of fun accusing Nityananda Prabhu, but this doesn't mean that Nityananda Prabhu does all these activities. Okay, these sarcastic or disguised as blasphemous statements of Advaita are simply a ploy to increase the sinful propensities of those who eat meat and fish. Those not understanding the purport of these words, who are most unfortunate and bereft of intelligence, take shelter of worldly sinful activities and traverse to the path of hell. Those who are easily influenced by the word jugglery of others can never become intelligent devotees of Krishna. So we should very clearly understand that this was simply word jugglery, and actually Advaita Acharya did not intend anything wrong about Nityananda Prabhu. They were just having some fun, okay? And they were accusing each other. This was something that they always did. It is not something new. That was their chemistry. That was the way they engaged in arguments. But one should not take these accusations to be very serious and foolishly think Nityananda Prabhu is also like a tantric sannyasi. One should never come to such conclusion. So these sarcastic or disguised as blasphemous statements of Advaita are simply a ploy to increase the sinful propensities of those who eat meat and fish. And this is not an understanding of the correct purport of this verse. So one should not understand that Nityananda Prabhu is subject to such habits, and we should not get influenced by the word jugglery of two devotees of Krishna. Sometimes they have this relationship where they're just talking something, accusing each other, but in truth, this is not correct. Okay. And of course, a devotee never takes sides when two Vaishnavas are arguing like this. We should understand the spirit in which two Vaishnavas are talking. You know, we cannot become judgmental when two devotees have a misunderstanding. It can be for fun, meaning like what is happening here. Nityananda is accusing Advaita, and Advaita is accusing Nityananda. That, you know, only a person with whom you have that kind of liberty, you will behave like that. So a third person cannot become judgmental looking at this kind of a chemistry between two devotees. And even if they don't have this sort of liberty with each other, and even if they are not accusing each other for fun, even if they're seriously doing it, still we cannot become judgmental. We'll have to let them resolve it. Yes, we can be a silent listener, but sometimes we just have to let it take its flow and let them resolve it, because at the end of the day, they both are Vaishnavas and they are going to reconcile. Okay. So that is the lesson that we learn from this particular purport. पोता माता पिता कौन देशे वा वसति के जानाए आशिया बाकुल अधिकिति. Who knows who your parents are and where you come from? Can anyone vouch for you? Advaita Acharya is asking, because this Nityananda Prabhu, he was an Avadut. He was traveling all over the country for about 12 years till he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he got introduced to all the Navadvip Vasis. So Advaita Acharya is telling, who knows who you are? You just randomly appeared. I don't even know who your parents are, where you came from. And anyone in the city can vouch for you. Nobody will vouch for you looking at your behavior. So he says, Eka chora asiya, ete kaka repaka, kai mo gligili mo samhari mo sabathaka. One thief came and created this disturbance, but wait, I will eat, swallow, and destroy everything. So there's actually, why does he say this? The next verse explains that. One thief came and created this disturbance, but wait, I will eat and swallow and destroy everything. So the next verse says, Tare bali sannyasi ye kichu nahi chaya, bola ya sannyasi dine tina bare khaya. We call one who does not want anything a sannyasi. But this thief eats 3 times a day and still he calls himself a sannyasi. So now Advaita Acharya is telling, I'm so scared that you have come here. Huh? Why? Because everything, all the food here will get over. You're a thief. You come and you create disturbance and you eat up everything. But wait, I'm not going to let you eat today. I will eat, swallow, and I will destroy everything. I will eat everything. So, and he says, you're supposed to be a sannyasi. You're calling yourself a paramahamsa. So when you're a sannyasi, you don't come and happily eat 3 times a day. So what kind of sannyasi are you? So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati again says, Sri Advaita said, it is the principle of a sannyasi not to accept anything from anyone. But Nityananda Prabhu, he's identifying himself as a sannyasi and he's enjoying and eating 3 times a day. Those who are under the influence of fruitive activities cannot understand the difference between Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya and are unable to understand the uselessness of the arguments, consider themselves logicians. But since the basis of their arguments is extremely weak, every intelligent person understands that they are fools. Now, again, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explains the statement of Advaita Acharya. So what is Advaita Acharya telling here? He is telling you're calling yourself a sannyasi, but you're eating 3 times a day. Okay. So then the question arises in the hearts of the people who are reading this. That means a true sannyasi is one who eats very meager, who may eat just once a day. He is a true sannyasi. But then the clarification comes here in this purport that some fruitive workers, some karmis cannot understand the difference between Yukta Vairagya and Phalgu Vairagya. So you all must already be aware of what Yukta Vairagya is. Those who have read our NOI and NOD, they all know what Yukta Vairagya is. So renunciation is required, but then it should not be an external show. Okay, so even our sannyasis in our movement also, they eat 3 times a day. In fact, their diet is very restricted. They follow so many rules and regulations, but they eat as much as to maintain their health. So just by stopping eating or just by stopping some activity, it doesn't mean that you're a great sannyasi. You should lose attachment to material things. So such a person is a sannyasi, not a person who just puts an external show saying that I'm so austere, I will eat only once a day. So such a person is nothing but a fool. Driven by external knowledge resulting from the foolishness of these karmis, they maintain an evil mentality in the hearts that obstructs their darshan of the devotees and the Supreme Lord. So people who judge on such externals that, oh, this sannyasi is eating thrice a day, so he's a fallen sannyasi. So once we start judging like that, then there is only an obstruction to our darshan of pure devotees and the Supreme Lord. So a person who understands the difference between Phalgu Vairagya and Yukta Vairagya, he is the one who truly understands the meaning of sannyas, the meaning of renunciation. And all this is mentioned in the works of Srila Rupa Goswami. Okay, so if we have understood the works of Srila Rupa Goswami, like Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instructions, we can surely be liberated from the danger of foolishness. So anything that is used in the service of Krishna should be used. It should not be rejected. If the body of a person is kept healthy by eating 3 small meals a day, there is absolutely no harm, because ultimately he is using his body in the service of Krishna. Okay, so Advaita Acharya again and again, he's just having this mock fight with Nityananda Prabhu. Actually, Prabhupada comments about this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada says this discussion between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu are generally mock fights. They serve as an instruction for all the devotees. So when you hear these comments made by Advaita Prabhu or Nityananda Prabhu, if you really delve into it, you can understand that there is a hidden instruction for all the devotees. So just like we saw in this verse, the hidden instruction was one should give importance not just to external vairagya, rather one should give importance to yukta vairagya. That was the instruction that we saw in text number 92. And in the other text, text number 89, we got the instruction that sometimes two devotees could be fighting with each other in a very sarcastic manner, but their intentions are totally different. So it would be inappropriate for us to make a judgment just hearing what they are talking. So we cannot judge a devotee just by some conversation, random conversation that is happening out of fun. So there was another mock fight that is mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he did was he took all the remnants of food that was offered to Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, like all the sweet rice and the barfi and all of that, and he called on to all the devotees individually and he distributed the prasadam. At that time, after receiving the prasadam, these two devotees, Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, they sat side by side, and when the prasadam was distributed itself, they started engaging in this type of mock fighting. Advaita Acharya said, I'm sitting in line with an unknown mendicant, and because of eating with him, I don't know what kind of destination is awaiting me. Because I'm sitting next to such a sinful person, what kind of sin have I accrued? Even I'm going to go to hell. And Nityananda and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in the renounced order of life. So he does not recognize any discrepancy. So he's freely distributing all this prasadam. But then I'm sitting next to a fake sannyasi who is troubling everybody, and I'm also affected by eating the food from anywhere and everywhere sitting right next to him. This is what Advaita Acharya was telling. Advaita Acharya was telling that according to Shastra, there is no discrepancy in a sannyasi is eating in another's house. But for a householder Brahmana like me, this kind of eating is very faulty. I don't know why I'm next to him. It's not proper for householders to dine with whose previous birth, family, character, and behavior is not known. So like this, Advaita Acharya was unnecessarily trying to poke Nityananda Prabhu, who was right next to him. And at that time, Nityananda Prabhu, when he heard all these sarcastic statements, he started refuting Advaita Acharya's claims. He said, oh, you're calling yourself a great householder, but you are, after all, a teacher of impersonal monism. Remember, there is a past time when Advaita Acharya was speaking impersonalism, and then Mahaprabhu went and started beating him up. So he calls Advaita Acharya, you're a teacher of impersonal monism, and you are creating this monistic conclusion, which is an hindrance to the progressive nature of pure devotional service. That is the kind of philosophy you're propagating. So if one participates in your impersonalistic, monistic philosophy, what does he know? He doesn't know anything about what truly a Brahmin is. So Nityananda Prabhu, he says, you are actually a fool, you're a monist, and I am eating next to you. So I am going to be affected by you. My mind is going to get affected by you. Your mind won't get affected by me. So like this, they were just talking to each other, and sometimes they were praising each other. And sometimes it sounded even negative to the onlookers. They would exchange ill names. But then we should understand that each of these statements are filled with lessons for us to learn and realize how it is applicable in our lives. It is not for us to judge what they are talking about each other. Okay. Srinivasa Panditera Mule Jati Nai Hotakara Avaduta Ani Dhila Thani. Srivas Pandit does not belong to any caste. He brought this Avadut from somewhere and he gave him shelter here. So now this blasphemy of each other, sarcastic remarks on each other, it has now shifted to the host, who is Srivas Pandit. So now Advaita Acharya is blaming Srivas Pandit. He says all because of him. He doesn't have any caste consciousness, and he's brought this Avadut from somewhere and he's giving him also shelter. So like this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in the purport, in his behavior throughout the day and night, actually Srivas Pandit, he shows respect to everyone's Vaishnava characteristics. He doesn't care about what caste you are from. Srivas Pandit's focus is always giving respect to everyone's Vaishnava characteristics. Since he did not properly follow the Vedic injunctions of the foolish smartas, his social status was completely lost. See how this is. Srivas Pandit would only see whether this person is a Vaishnava or not. He never saw a person on the social caste system. So the foolish smartas, they were thinking that the Srivas Pandit's social caste is already gone. That's why our Advaita Acharya is telling he doesn't belong to any caste, he lost his caste already. But then we should understand that the Srivas Pandit accepted Sri Nityananda Prabhu simply because he was a great Vaishnava. He was an Avadhut. That's how Nityananda Prabhu presented himself in the public. But Srivas Pandit could understand the real nature of Nityananda Prabhu. So like this, here now the next devotee is being pulled into the fight. But it was all for fun. And everybody knows the inner intentions of what is being spoken. So it's also a glorification of Srivas Pandit, right? This particular verse, though our Advaita Acharya is calling him as a person who doesn't belong to any caste, but still it is such a big glorification. Why? Because he has brought this Avadut from somewhere and he has given him shelter. So even the words of Vaishnavas, they are full of meaning. One should not just judge it based on some external statements. We should understand what a Vaishnava is talking. The Vaishnava Kriya Mudra, they say, right, is very, very difficult to understand. You cannot understand what a Vaishnava's true intentions are. Avaduta karile sakala jati nasha kota haite madhya pera haila par prakasha. This Avadut has ruined everyone's caste. We didn't know where this drunkard has come from. This is again about Nityananda Prabhu. Krishna prema sudhara se mata dui jana anyonye kalaha karina sarvakshana. So Krishna prema sudhara sa mata dui jana. So the Duijan, who are the Duijan? Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Chandra Prabhu, both of them, they were immersed in Krishna Prema Sudha. Sudha means nectar. So they were immersed in Krishna Prema Sudha Rasa. And they were completely drunk taking this nectar. Anyonye kalaha karena sarvakshana. So kalaha means fights, okay? Anyonye, with a very intimate fights they used to have out of love, intimate kalahas. So anyonye kalaha karena sarvakshana. That is how they would quarrel with each other all the time. Sarvakshana, every time this kind of kalaha would happen between Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu. It's always nice to have a friend with whom you can fight like this. And it's so nice to see how this relationship is between Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu. Intoxicated in the nectarian mellows of ecstatic love for Krishna, the two continually quarreled between themselves. So this quarrel was also based on Krishna consciousness. It was a Krishna immersion quarrel, Krishna rasa immersion quarrel, Krishna prema sudha rasa matta duijana. They were completely intoxicated. Just like two, the mundane intoxicants of this world. If there are two drunkards, they're just going to fight with each other. They are going to accuse each other. They're going to pull each other's hair and they're going to punch each other down. So we have seen all this in the mundane material world. But then if you're intoxicated with Krishna Prema Sudha, then this is what happens. These kind of kalahas are very, very relishable. They are full of instructions. And a person should understand the meaning of these quarrels, what they're trying to really say to each other. Ite eka janera haya prakpaksha ye anya jane ninda kariksha yaya say. Therefore, if a person takes the side of one of them and blasphemes the other, he is ruined. So it's not that we take sides. We understand that this is a loving quarrel and we never take sides and we just enjoy. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you saw in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when he was giving Jagannath Puri Prasadam, he was just enjoying it. He didn't take sides and fight with the other person. He said, you said it right, you said it wrong. There is no need to take sides. Just watch, enough. And then we take lessons from such quarrels. Hena prema kala hera marmana janiya eke ninda ara vande se marapudiya. A person who blasphemes one and glorifies the other without understanding the meaning of such loving quarrels is burned to death. So we never take sides when two Vaishnavas are quarreling out of love, especially. Advaitaira pakshahana ninde gadadhara se adhama kabuna he Advaita kinkara. A fallen person who takes the side of Advaita and blasphemes Gadadhar can never become a servant of Advaita. It's so sweet. Be it Gadadhar or be it Nityananda, whoever it may be, when two people are fighting with each other, one never takes sides. And you cannot take the side of Gadadhar and say that you are the servant of Advaita. You can never become the servant of Advaita just because you have taken the side of Advaita or you have taken the side of Gadadhar. So, why specifically this verse? Here we see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaking about what happened after the disappearance of Advaita Acharya. So after the disappearance of Advaita Acharya, some of the followers of Advaita, they accepted subordination under Gadadhar Pandit. But then there were some foolish people, without understanding Advaita's actual identity, they began to criticize Gadadhar Pandit's activities of preaching devotional service. And they would excessively glorify Advaita and put down Gadadhar Pandit. So such kind of unjustified activities cannot be accepted. And such people can never be true servants of Advaita Prabhu. Actually, they become offenders to Advaita Acharya's lotus feet because they blasphemed Gadadhar Pandit. So such things cannot be tolerated. So that's the reason why when there are two Vaishnavas, we don't take sides or unnecessarily blaspheme one and glorify the other just to prove that one is lower and one is higher. So that's the instruction that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives. And he says it has happened in history like this. So we should be very careful. And this, we also look at this as an instruction as to how to see different spiritual masters. So even within our movement, if we have two spiritual masters may have different moods. One spiritual master may be very approachable. One spiritual master may not be very approachable. Okay, so there are different qualities. One spiritual master's mood would be always emphasizing some Vaishnava etiquette. The other spiritual master's mood may be always emphasizing chanting the holy names. I'm just giving some random examples. So it's not that one is greater, one is lower. Yes, they all have their moods, but we individually respect them. We do not get into a mode of comparison, or we do not support one and then put down the other. So that is the lesson there. Text 99. Ishware se Ishwarera Kalahera Patra Ke Boji Be Vishnu Vaishnavera Leela Matra. Only the Supreme Lord is capable of quarreling with the Supreme Lord. Who can understand the pastimes of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas? So we'll take a quick brainstormer here from everybody. Can you, all of you can raise hand or unmute and say, can you give examples of two Ishwaras, two Supreme Lords fighting with each other, or a Vaishnava fighting with the Lord and the Lord fighting with the Vaishnava, or two Vaishnavas groups fighting with each other out of love? Anyone can think of such examples? Okay, I'll read the purport and then you can say. Once you read the purport, you will understand more of what I'm trying to ask. Vishnu and the eternal servant Vaishnavas are Ishwaras. Even the Vaishnavas an Ishwara, okay, because he's controlling the Lord also. See, but if Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, the Vaishnava is also the Supreme Lord because he's controlling the Supreme in that sense, okay. Ordinarily, people cannot understand this. The disagreements created by a particular manifestation of Vishnu between themselves and the facade of quarreling among the Vaishnavas for increasing their love for the Supreme Lord are incomprehensible to ordinary people who are forced to enjoy the fruits of their karma. So karmis cannot understand this. Vishnu and the Vaishnavas are both Ishwaras or Prabhus of living entities forced to enjoy the fruits of their karma. So a Vaishnava and the Supreme Lord, both of them become Prabhus of the ordinary people. Therefore, ignorant, simple-minded people who consider the dealings between one Prabhu and the other Vaishnava Prabhu, or the apparent quarreling between Nityananda and Advaita equal to the ordinary dealings, thus enter into blasphemy and praise are simply foolish. Okay, so basically the purport is telling you that there are different kinds of Ishwaras. Of course, the Supreme Lord is the Ishvara, but then the Vaishnavas, actually they're very subordinate to the Lord. They are qualitatively one, quantitatively different, all that Siddhanta and all we understand. But sometimes they also become Prabhus. Why? Because out of their love, they are controlling the Lord. And the ordinary people are definitely below the Vaishnavas and the Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord. Okay. So now my question is, can you think of examples where any of these have happened? Two lords have fought. Both of them are the lords and both of them have fought. Or the Lord of the Vaishnavas have fought lovingly, not angrily, lovingly. And you can even say angrily also, it doesn't matter. It's all loving, okay, in this world. So anyway, so the Vaishnavas and the Lord, or two groups of Vaishnavas simply fighting, not meaning anything bad to each other. So any examples you can think?
Mataji, I don't know if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's okay. Nothing is wrong.
Krishna and Lord Shiva fighting for Banasur.
Same Krishna and Lord Shiva. So when they fought, were they so serious that they hated each other?
No.
Yeah. And there is so much to learn from these fights, right? Yes, Mataji, would you like to comment more on their fight? Anything that you felt was interesting?
Yeah, basically, even though Banasur was given shelter by Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva was fighting, but in his heart he had, lot of devotion for Krishna. He was just doing it like to, because he had made a promise to Banasur that he will give protection, but he did not actually want to save Banasur from Krishna. He was
Correct.
just doing it, but his intention was that he wanted to lose and Krishna wanted to kill Banasur.
Beautiful, such a lovely example. I really like this example. Thank you, Mataji. And in fact, Banasuri gets a four-armed form similar to the Lord.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Yes, thank you. Kiran, Mataji.
Mataji, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fighting with the banana seller, was it?
Yes, Chaitanya and Nimai fighting with Shkolavechashira. That's such a cute example, right? It was so relishable. Every time you read it, you're thinking that is so sweet. Yes, the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the mood of Kolavechashira, both were very relishable. Very nice. Thank you. And Vasundhara Mataji?
The fight that happens between Ramachandra and Hanuman.
How?
There was a devotee, I forget the name, Mataji, of the devotee who approaches Vishwamitra that he wanted to go to the heavenly planet, Swarga, in his mortal body, in the same mortal body.
Trishanku Mataji.
Trishanku, yes, Trishanku. So Vishwamitra uses all his austere power, whatever the powers is acquired by so many years of austerity, to send Trishanku Maharaj to the Swargaloka.
Okay.
But the moment he starts sending also, Trishanku starts ascending towards Swarga planet. And Indradev, he doesn't like it because mortals are not allowed to be a part of the Swarga planet. So he pushes Trishanku back downwards. So Trishanku starts descending down and Vishwamitra is trying to send him up and it goes on like this, right? And then Vishwamitra will feel very bad about it. Oh, sorry. No. This is not that episode, Mataji. Sorry. This is a different one. But there is a fight that ensues. Yeah. There is a fight that ensues between Hanuman and Lord Ramachandra. That is again with respect to saving one of the devotee. He gets cursed by some sage, I forget it, and he is asked by that sage to go and take the take the protection of Hanuman, because Ramachandra has taken a vow to kill that person, again based on one other sage's request. But in the meantime, the same devotee has taken the protection of Hanuman, who says that whosoever comes, don't worry, I will protect you. That's it. And later on only he reveals that Lord Ramachandra is only going to kill him. He's only taken the vow to kill this person. I'm sorry, Mataji, I'm not able to get the name of that person, but this is a real fight that happens between Ramachandra and Hanuman. And both of them, they're not able to, obviously, because Ramachandra and Hanuman, they're like close to each other, right? So someone intervenes and then stops the fight. So I'm sorry, please excuse my agyan. I'm not able to recall the name of that particular king. This is not part of Valmiki Ramayana, Mataji? Because I thought, okay, but this is something I've heard many a times.
Okay.
So let me recall. I'm sorry about it. I'm
No
sorry
problem,
for
no
wasting the
problem.
time of everyone. Hare Krishna.
No worries, Mataji.
Krishna and Bhishma Deva also, Mataji.
Krishna and Bhishma Dev, that is an interesting rasa, yes. Veera rasa, right? So they have this very interesting quarreling thing, but they love each other so much, yes. Yeah, actually, when our Vasundhara Mataji was talking, I was even thinking of how I think this happens in the later life of Prahlad Maharaj. It comes in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Where the Lord comes to fight with him, just, to increase that rasa. And then after the fight, and the Prahlad understands, oh, this is the Supreme Lord himself. He just came to give me that little interaction. So there is some episode like that mentioned in Brihad Bhagavatamrita in the later life of Prahlad. And I was also like, I don't know, something else also when she was
And
talking.
Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. How is that, Mataji? Can you give some examples?
For Jaga and Madai.
Jagai and Madai, right? Nityananda wanted to protect
Save them.
Madai. Yeah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, he offended my devotee. Yes, that's very sweet. Yes. Anything else anyone can remember?
Mataji, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu getting mad at Jagannatha Pandit when Jagannatha Pandit told Sanatan Goswami to, go to, basically, because he was infected with that disease.
Yeah.
Jagannatha Pandit. So basically, Jagannatha
Yes.
Pandit is very close to Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu was mad that the Jagga told you to go
I
away
know.
from
Who's
here.
the Jaga? What right he has
Yeah. So yeah, they get mad. Even Jagannatha Pandit gets mad when Mahaprabhu did not accept the perfume, the chandan oil that he had gotten for him. So this
Very
it's like
nice.
very loving pastimes, loving fights like Satyabhama and Krishna fighting.
Yes, Satyabhama and Krishna fighting also. Yes, like Satyabhama and Krishna. Yeah. We see this in Krishna Leela, we see it in Chaitanya Leela, we see it all the time, these kalahas that are happening, and they're only enhancing sweet relationships between the Lord and his devotees. Right? That is so beautiful. Thank you. Excellent examples. And I also wanted to give one more example of two sets of Vaishnavas quarreling, but we'll do that after this 100 and 101 verse. I think that's where we stop, right? Let's see. I think so. This was the last purport for today. Oh, no, one or two. It ends the chapter. I'll finish the chapter and then we'll see one quick Kalaha pastime. Okay. I'll do it really fast. Don't worry. It won't take much time. Vishnu and the Vaishnavas are equal, but atheists and blasphemers think otherwise. One who worships the lotus feet of Krishna without discriminating among Vaishnavas is delivered. Okay. So the principle is that we do not discriminate among Vaishnavas. Different Vaishnavas worship the Lord in different modes. But however, the blasphemers, they do not understand this. Okay, the blasphemers are of two types in this purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he mentions two types of blasphemers. One set of blasphemers, they do not understand the unity between Vishnu and the Vaishnavas or Krishna and the Vaishnavas. So they are creating an offense. They see them as totally different and they create offenses. The other set of blasphemers, they are seeing complete oneness in the Jiva and the Lord. they are also blasphemous. So both ways they are blasphemous. One should understand the spirit of Vishnu and the jivas who are subordinate to Vishnu. Okay, we should understand that Vaishnavas are surely above any ordinary jivas, and the relationship between Vishnu and Vaishnavas cannot be judged because they are sharing a unique rasa. Not only that, one should not have the blasphemous tendency to think all the jivas are fully equal to Vishnu or the Supreme Lord. Okay, so we know oneness and difference, right? We all know this. Bheda. So that should be very, very clearly understood. So this is what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is trying to clarify in this purport. He says, Vishnu and the Vaishnavas possess the distinct characteristics of the Vishaya or object of worship and the Ashraya or the worshipper. Okay, so the Vishaya is Krishna and the Ashraya is the worshipper who is the Vaishnava. So if one accepts that there is a difference between the status of Vishnu and the status of Vaishnavas, the distinction rather than the equality captures one's heart. Such discrimination is prominently found among the atheists and blasphemers because by accepting that Vishnu and the Vaishnavas have different statuses, such people bring them under the confines of their reasoning. False ego devoid of the service to Vishnu attires them as lords and includes them to indulge in discriminating between Vishnus and Vaishnavas. So what's happening? These people who are judging, they are considering themselves to be the Lord, and hence they are judging the relationship between Vishnus and Vaishnavas. So when we are when we tend to judge, that minute we become Ishwaras, we are trying to control. The absence of understanding of Vishaya and Ashraya as the creator of blasphemous and atheistic propensities. That is why if one realizes that every Vaishnava without discrimination becomes qualified in the course of worshipping Krishna's lotus feet to enter the pastimes of Krishna, his worship becomes mature. So, as we progress, instead of seeing differences, we understand that every Vaishnava is capable of entering the pastimes of Krishna. So, we do not judge any Vaishnava. There is no possibility of worshipping the Supreme Lord if one distinguishes the Supreme Lord's associate and characteristics from his names, forms, and qualities. But if one does not recognize that person without Vaishnava qualities, or a person who cultivates religious principles devoid of devotional service to Vishnu is a non-Vaishnava, but mistakenly considers him to be a Vaishnava, then he is unable to worship the Supreme Lord. Now, the second thing, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions, a Vaishnava devoid of devotional service to Vishnu is a non-Vaishnava. Okay, he cannot understand all this. An object devoid of heat is called cold. An object devoid of heat is called as cold. Yet, even within intense cold, there is a tinge of heat. Therefore, the consideration of non-difference between heat and cold results in the absence of variegatedness. So, one should not completely think that the Jiva and the Lord are the same, because at the end of the day, there is no question of absence of variegatedness. Sometimes people give this example. Intense cold is also heat. So heat and cold are the same. They say, no, that is not the understanding. There is variegatedness. There is difference between the Vaishnava and the Lord. But this difference is only for the sake of enjoyment. Okay, between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. So we should have a clear conception of the oneness between the devotee and the Lord and how they are also different. So blasphemers and atheists, if they see complete oneness also, there is a problem. If they see complete difference also, there is a problem. Equating and distinguishing from an unconstitutional platform between the natural and unnatural states are both faulty. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, until spiritual perception devoid of these two mundane conceptions is awakened, one's propensity for pure service does not awaken. Unless one's service propensity is awakened, one can neither realize the Supreme Lord nor can he be established in devotional service. So we should have the correct perspective to see the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, we can never become a devotee or we can never follow devotional service. Final verse. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chandra Jana Vrindavana Dasa Tachupada Yoga Gana. Accepting Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends the translation of the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata-Madhya Khanda chapter 24, entitled The Lord Displays His Universal Form to Advaita. Okay, I wanted to also bring your attention to another episode very quickly, where there was a beautiful kalaha between two groups of devotees based on their worshipable Lord. So this is the Hera Panchami fight that happens, that is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that happens in Jagannath Puri. So once, when the Hera Panchami festival was going on, Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were talking. And when they were talking, the great procession of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, was coming by. And how was Lakshmi? She was riding upon a beautiful golden palanquin that was carried by 4 men, and it was bedecked with a variety of jewels. And the palanquin also was surrounded by people carrying different kinds of umbrellas, chamaras, whisks, flags, and there were musicians and dancing girls welcoming the party of Lakshmi Devi. And the maid servants of Lakshmi, they were carrying water pitchers, chamara, whisks, boxes of nuts, and there were hundreds and thousands of maid servants that were very attractively dressed, and they were wearing all sorts of valuable jewels. So now, what did the goddess of fortune do? In a very, very angry mood, she came at the main gate of the temple in a palanquin, accompanied by all her family members and her servants who had uncommon opulence. And when this procession arrived, the maid servants of the goddess of fortune, they began to arrest the servants of Jagannath. So you all know this great procession that happens during the Hera Panchami day, where Lakshmi is taken in a palanquin and Jagannath is also taken, and they have to patch up. Okay, but then Lakshmi Devi is extremely angry because Jagannath left her and went away. So the maid servants, what they did, Lakshmi Devi's maid servants, they are very rich, they're very opulent. So they bound the servants of Jagannath. What do the servants of Jagannath have? Nothing, these useless male people. So these ladies, they went and bound them and they handcuffed them and they arrested them just like thieves who have taken their riches away. So when the servants of Jagannath, they fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, they almost fell unconscious, and they were chastised by all these women who were the servants of Lakshmi, and they were made fun of, and they used loose language to criticize the servants of Jagannath. So like this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they were seeing the fight between Lakshmi and Jagannath. And at that time, their faces, they were so ashamed looking at how Jagannath's servants were captured by the servants of Lakshmi and made to surrender. So very sweetly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they saw this fight, they were put to shame. They were covering their faces and they were smiling, looking at the way Lakshmi was behaving. And Swarup Damodar, he makes a comment. He says, actually, there is no egoistic pride like this, like how Lakshmi is showing in the 3 worlds. I have not seen or heard of such kind of pride that Lakshmi is exhibiting. A woman, why does he say that? He justifies his statement. He tells, generally, when a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of pride, she give up her ornaments. She will give up her ornaments. She'll say, I don't want anything. Remember this, what's her name? Kaikeyi also. She gave up all her ornaments and she was on the floor. Similarly, when Satyabhama gets angry, or many of these queens of Dwaraka, or even Radharani, Man Mandir, it's not like she's fully decorated and she's sitting like that angry. No, they give up all the ornaments. They throw away everything. They say, I don't want it. And out of pride, they reject their lover, right? But look at Lakshmi Devi. There is no egoistic pride like this in these 3 worlds. At least I have not seen or heard of it, Swarup Damodar says. He says, when a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of egoistic pride, she gives up her ornaments and morosely sits down on the ground, making lines on the ground with her nails. That's what a woman would do. This is what all the queens of Dwaraka, like Satyabhama and others, do. Krishna's proudest queen, especially Satyabhama, and even the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the abode of all transcendental mellows, even they do that. But then, what kind of pride is the goddess of fortune showing? She's manifesting her own opulences and even goes with the soldiers to attack her husband with pride. This is kind of strange. This is different kind of pride. So Prabhupada in that purport, he writes that the goddess of fortune had a different kind of pride. She didn't give up her ornaments. She was taking her ornaments and throwing it at the Lord, saying, "This is the opulence I have." So Swarup Damodar was astonished. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing and he was telling, you mentioned about the pride that is manifested in Vrindavan. So tell me more about the different gopis and their jealous behavior and all that. And of course, there is a big section where Swarup Damodar, he describes the queens of Dwaraka. He also describes the pride shown by the gopis of Vrindavan, and especially he focuses on the pride of Srimati Radharani. Okay, so he tells in great detail about the different kinds of prides that are exhibited in Vrindavan. And finally, he concludes saying like this, Srimati Radharani, she is decorated not with jewels, but she is decorated with various ecstatic symptoms of love that attracts the mind of Krishna. Okay, so he concludes like that. He talks about how each heroine is, what is her mood, how she shows her pride, and so on. And he concludes, but as far as Radharani is concerned, the decoration is not her jewels, it is her ecstatic symptoms. And just seeing that, the Krishna is actually attracted to her. He concludes. Now, at this time, our Srivas Thakur, he's not going to be quiet. He's in the mood of Narada Muni. So he smiles and he tells Swarup Damodar, now you hear to me. I will tell you about the opulence of my goddess of fortune. As far as Vrindavan's opulence is concerned, what does it have? It has a few flowers, twigs, some minerals, peacock feathers, some gunja berries. When Jagannath decided to see Vrindavan, he went there. And upon hearing this, the goddess of fortune, she got so jealous and restless. She wondered, why did Lord Jagannath give up so much opulence and go to Vrindavan when I am there? So much opulence is there. Why did he leave all my opulence and go to Vrindavan? He only made himself a laughing stock going there to Vrindavan. And when I am there with so many jewels and decoration, there he says, Srivas Pandit, he's telling about his goddess of fortune. He says, then the maidservants of my goddess of fortune, they told Lord Jagannath, why did your Lord Jagannath abandon the great opulence of the goddess of fortune for the sake of few leaves, twigs, flowers, and the garden of Srimati Radharani? Your master is so expert in everything, but why does he do such things? Now bring your master before the goddess of fortune. So they all commanded that Jagannath appears in front of the goddess of fortune. So in this way, the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they saw Jagannath, they pulled him, they arrested Jagannath, and they bound him with all these ropes and they threw jewels at him, saying that, look at the opulence my Thakurani, my Lakshmi Devi has. So like this, when all the maid servants brought Jagannath's servants before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, the Lord's service were fined and they were forced to submit. This is the power of my goddess of fortune. All the maid servants, they began to beat the Rath cart with sticks. Wherever Jagannath was, that Rath cart, they started beating with sticks and they treated Jagannath's servants like thieves. Finally, Lord Jagannath's service, they had to submit forcibly to the goddess of fortune with folded hands, assuring her that Jagannath will never ever leave. Okay. The very next day, the goddess of fortune had the power to bring her husband under control. So like this, being pacified, goddess of fortune, she went to her apartment. So he says, my goddess of fortune, she is beyond all description. She is the most powerful. So Srivas Thakur told Swarup Damodar, your gopis, they are engaged in boiling milk, churning yogurt, but my mistress, she is the goddess of fortune. She sits on a throne that is made with jewels and gems. And Srivas Thakur was thoroughly enjoying the mood of Narada Muni and he was making these jokes. It's not that See, at the end of the day, he's Srivas Thakur. Yes, he's also a servant of Sri Mahaprabhu. He also understands the mellows of the Gopi of Vrindavan, right? He understands everything. But then they were just displaying these moods. So hearing them, all the personal servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did they do? Did they take sides and did they fight with each other? No, they all started smiling. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Srivas Thakur, my dear Srivas, your nature is just like Narada Muni. The supreme personality of Godhead's opulence is having a direct influence on you. And then he looked at Swarup Damodar and he said, Swarup Damodar is a pure devotee of Vrindavan. He does not know what opulence is, and he's simply absorbed in devotional service. So, like this, again, Swarup Damodar, he retorts. Between Srivas and Swarup, there is a big argument. So then Swarup Damodar, he tells Srivas, my dear Srivas, hear with attention. You have forgotten the transcendental opulence of Vrindavan. The natural opulence of Vrindavan is like an ocean. The opulence of Dwaraka and Vaikunta cannot even compare it in terms of being a drop. It is not even a drop compared to the opulence in Vrindavan. Krishna is full of opulences, and his complete opulences are actually seen only in Vrindavan, not where your Lakshmi Devi is. Vrindavan Dham is made of transcendental touchstone. It is Chintamani Dham. The entire surface of Vrindavan is full of valuable jewels and Chintamani stone. And in fact, Chintamani is used as a doorstopper in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is a natural forest full of desire creepers, and the inhabitants, however, they are not attracted by all these jewels and opulence. All that they want is the love of Krishna. So there are Kamadhenus, and unlimited Kamadhenus are there. In Vrindavan, the speech is like music, and their natural walk is like a dance. The water is nectar, and the Brahmajyoti effulgence is and the Brahmajyoti effulgence, which is full of transcendental bliss, is directly perceived in its real form where Krishna is present. The gopis are also goddesses of fortune, and they surpass this goddess of fortune, who is the goddess of Vaikunta. Krishna is always playing his flute. This is all there in the Brahma Samhita, right? So, but however, yes, Vrajabhumi is completely made on this platform of touchstone. But then all this opulence is nothing for the gopis. They don't care for it. After all, it is just like a doorstopper, though so much opulence is there. So like this, hearing these statements of the opulence of Vrindavan, how Vrindavan's opulence is nothing but pure bliss. Hearing that, Srivas Thakur, he began to dance in ecstatic love. Even the statements of Swarup Damodar Goswami did not give him anger, it gave him bliss. He was feeling so happy hearing the glories of Vrindavan, and he started slapping his armpits and he started raising his hands and dancing in ecstatic mood. So like this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could witness the love that was shown by both Srivas Pandit and Swarup Damodar, and how ultimately both of them, they were only absorbed in the mood of love of God. Okay, so we'll stop here, and if there are any questions, comments, realizations, we can take that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. What a beautiful class.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hera Panchami was the final icing. It was so beautiful. Yeah, I'd forgotten that pastime actually. It's such a beautiful pastime, and thank you for narrating it so beautifully, Mataji. It was so very nice. And the whole class was so beautiful, giving us the instruction that when two devotees are having an argument, it's not for us to go in between or raise our own opinions or form judgments. No,
The instruction is for me, actually. That's why I had to say it so firmly. Yeah.
Oh, Mataji, you're good. Yeah, such a beautiful instruction. And you talked about Yukta Vairagya. Very nice, Mataji. A very beautiful class. And in fact, when Advaita Acharya was criticizing Srivas Pandit, saying he doesn't have a Brahman clan now because he's given shelter to Nityananda Prabhu, I was remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself comes and tests Srivas Pandit, right? He says the same thing. Why are you giving shelter to this Avadhuta We don't know where he's come from. And Shiva says, my Lord, never ever test me again like that again. Yeah, such beautiful pastime related. It was a very nice class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinmay
We have a
Mataji.
little time. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji has raised her hand.
Jai Bol.
Hari Bol, Mataji. Thank you for the beautiful, beautiful class, Mataji. Very grateful to you. I was remembering once our Kitida Mataji was saying this song, right? Singing between both the parrots, Radharani parrot and Krishna's
Shuka
parrot.
Sadhana. Yeah.
That song was so nice between
Oh,
fight
yeah.
between both of them. That I was remembering.
Yeah.
And the other is Radharani Party and other one, who is that? I forgot the name. Always.
Lakshmi.
What is that, Mataji?
Chandravali.
Chandravali, that between both fight between both of them. I was thinking both of these pastimes, Mataji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class. Very grateful to you. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I mean, Gadadhar, I get confused with the names all the time. Okay, Gadadhar wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to beat him, right? Is that right?
Advaita.
Advaita Acharya. Okay, I get confused. See, that's what. Advaita Acharya's fight between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Acharya, that one also. Yeah. Right.
That's also a good one.
Yeah. And even Balram comes once. That pastime, I don't know. It's not authentic. Everybody says that, but Balram comes to Yashoda Maya and says that, oh, why did you bind my brother? You know who he is. He's Ananta. All this.
That is so sweet, actually.
Yeah, that is the another pastime I was thinking. And Mataji, I was having a reflection with these fightings. We fight with not only enemies all the time, we fight with most loved friends. The fight happens because we love them so much, because we feel that they are very dear to us. That's when, this in general, when you fight with someone, it's not about envy or something like that. You love them so much, that's why you feel that you have authority on them, with that kind of affection. Such kind of things happens, misunderstanding happens, but then always remember that we only fight with the most loved ones. That you love them so much, that's why you are fighting with them. So you have to come back. You should never keep that grudge. Thank you,
100%.
Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nitya Mataji. A lot of realization in the pastime.
When Vanita is fighting with us, how we should be.
She's a sweet devotee, Mataji.
Yeah, her fight is because she loves us. Okay.
Mataji, let me check the chat. Vasundhara Mataji. Okay, some font size Mataji wanted to increase. Neetu Mataji is saying thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji, beautiful class. And Harita Mataji is thanking you. Very beautiful class. Very nice to know the sarcastic fights, the jokings between Vaishnavas, between Lord and Vaishnavas.
Sorry, Vasundhara Mataji asked me to increase the font size. I didn't even see the chat. Yeah.
Sorry, Mataji. Maybe I should have seen. Sorry, Vasundhara Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, such a wonderful class, such a wonderful pastime between the fights between the Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya. And the last part, whatever you say about, I totally forgotten. I didn't even remember that pastime, and you just remind that. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, the Thera Panchami festival.
And this pastime is about to come, right, Mataji? Now only, right? During Rath Yatra. I mean, next month.
Yeah. During Rath Yatra.
Such a wonderful pastime, Mataji, all of them. And such a nectarian class. I love this class over and over to hear the pastimes about the all devotees and the Lord and everyone. Thank you, Mataji, so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Eternally grateful to you, Mataji, and your services also.
Thank you, Yashomati Mataji, for your services. Very good.
Hari.
Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, Shivani Mataji, Kiran Mataji, Parima Mataji are all thanking you for a very nectarian, beautiful class. So, Mataji, we don't see any more people raising hands. With your permission, shall we offer our obeisances? Vanchakalpatarubhyascha,
Krupasindhubhya eva cha patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namaha.
namaha.
Ananta
The
Koti
Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Vaishnava
jai, Srila Prabhupada
Jai.
ki jai, Her Grace Preeti
Prabhupada ki
Vilasini
jai,
Mataji
Jai.
ki
Bhagavad ki jai,
jai.
Har Grace Preeti
Thank you,
Vilasini Devi
Mataji.
Dasi Mataji ki jai.
Jai
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much,
Gaur
Mataji. Hare
Gaur
Krishna,
Mataji.
Mataji.